Cut the last one short. Here we are at Ausculum, mainly because, not really short, it was at the end of a turn, but I could have done another turn. Mainly because I wanted to not waste upload time. I have a really slow connection, and uploading videos is very, very time consuming. I pretty much have to be running it continuously. Okay, so that's if I don't switch to a wireless. Somebody nearby has got an open one that's good, but I need a different computer to do that. Okay, so Pyrrhus opened things up attacking pretty much across the line, and two phalanxes, a side attack by a light unit, the archers firing, a little bit of movement, and he successfully routed the two legions he attacked. His light unit routed as well, but the two phalanxes, or two legionary units, marched forward. One of them routed when it saw what it had to face. The other one's very close to routing, but I'm just trying to break that line up. Of course, now the Romans get the next action, unless Pyrrhus decides to try trumping. And they'll be able to fill some of this in. Well, there was a Greek attempt to strengthen this line, and that sort of worked. This heavy cav is the only thing remaining out of it, but then the Romans hit, and the line wasn't strong enough. The big phalanx hoplite that had been pushed up, they both broke, and now there's basically nothing here. We see the Greeks just routing away. So I think the Romans are going to do a pretty bad number on the Greeks at this point. So the Greeks took kind of a desperate shot. They had a 3-leader up here. They used him to try to rally a couple of units, one of which succeeded, but the big phalanx is now gone. And then they took an in-column unit, changed it into line formation or whatever, marched up, smashed into this legionary infantry. Wasn't a bad chance overall, but they ended up routing as well, and the legion's still there. So it's just looking worse and worse for the Greeks along that line. So a painful little situation erupted here. The Romans charged their cav across, hit the Greek light cav. Mixed results. We see there's a couple of routed units here, but then one unit that had pursued harder got attacked in turn by Dionysius, and he sent some cav and some infantry after him. Managed to trap him in a little circle, destroyed the unit. Okay, big deal, but perhaps much worse, destroyed a prefect. That's going to be worth 15 route points, 5 times his initiative. And he can be recovered. The commanding officer, though, will have to restore a new tribune in place. Or prefect, I think it was, I'm not sure. Anyway, that definitely turned the tide a little bit there. We got a possibility of a continuation, which indeed will happen, so the Greeks get to try to follow up, maybe push those guys over there into the sea. And oh boy, do they need the help down there, because they need whatever good results they can get here, because things are going so poorly over here for them. And again, the Romans are stymied crossing the river. Decius Mus had pushed a number of forces across, although he couldn't get a line command going. But now Alexander streamed back with all his hoplites and medium infantry and the like. Mainly hoplites. He had a phalanx here. And he basically just pushed them back into the river. There's some pain involved, but not a lot. So we're seeing anywhere where the Romans are opposed in crossing, they're being defeated. And given that they can take less losses than the Greeks, yes, they have a slight advantage right now. But overall, they can't take the losses that the Greeks can take. I don't think that they're going to push another attack like this unless an opportunity really presents itself. Here Here where they're establishing a beachhead, they don't have a great leader. However, if Sulpicius chooses, and I believe it's his move next, he can create a new leader over there using one of his actions, because they lost, the Romans lost a leader. And that's the end of the turn. Sulpicius did not get a second action because Pyrrhus trumped him. Pyrrhus noticed something Sulpicius didn't, which was that one of his phalanxes routing away could have been destroyed by the cav. Sulpicius was busy rallying his own forces. As you can see, he did a pretty good job actually, but as soon as he tried to go for another action, and it wouldn't have been that impressive because it could have only been a cav leader, which is for these guys, Pyrrhus jumped in and trumped. And yeah, that's how my brain segments things, and I look at different situations. So I've already added the 15 points for the leader against Roman losses. Let's look at what we have though. 70, 90, 70 and 50 is 120 more for the Greeks. And for the Romans we have 12, 24, 40, 55, 70, 95 for the Romans. Neither side's looking too happy here, to tell you the truth. But I'll do all the cleanup. We're going to see some units routing. Romans definitely have a bit of a problem here and here, but they didn't stop them. But they stopped them here. The Greeks seem to have gotten all their routes either destroyed or fixed. Okay. Well, we've come to an end of a turn in which not much happened. A little bit of fighting over here. See a routed Greek cav. But for the most part, the Romans have accepted that they're not going to make any ground throughout most of the river line. Sulpicius has been rallying his forces and preparing them for an assault along the stream. I don't know how good that's going to be, but there's no way Pyrrhus is going to go forward at this point. He's pretty much decided, if you want to attack, go ahead. If you don't, this battle's over, man. And the Romans are in kind of a weird position. They're shifting cav, trying to get it behind to the other side where it may be of value and where all the Greek cav is. But really, I don't think either side is in a position where they really, really want to attack. I think Sulpicius is going to make one stab here. If he can break that Greek line, great. If not, he's not going to continue the fight. And over here, I don't have the leadership in place yet. I've got to get better leaders in place to make this legion work. Right now it's got a really crappy praetor. Fortunately, there's still some routing Romans back here that are going to be leaving. This turn so far, got only 15 more points. Which will put us up to, 368. I don't think anything is going to make it off the map this turn, so that'll be it. Well, again, not much is happening here. The Greeks pushed some Velites out of the way. What I wanted to center on, though, is these Romans sitting here in the river. It's one of the reasons why cohesion hits for everything don't really make sense. Other games, especially miniatures games, but other tactical games, have the concept of morale and disorder. And by combining the two into one factor, you get a little bit of abstraction and a little bit of ease in a system that's already fairly heavily weighted down with problems. Or with, a lot of little issues that you have to keep track of. Not really problems. For some players it may be. But right here I've got these guys are okay. But I think these guys are nah. Either one could make it through. But I've had situations where somebody's sitting in the river and they just can't move. And it's kind of silly that these guys are sitting in the river and not moving. The decision to cross a river is one that you don't contemplate midway through. And they're not being attacked. It's just they don't have somebody to order them to go forward. So they're just standing there rubbing their nads or whatever. And I find that a little bit foolish seeming for this game. It shouldn't just be standing in the river. Alright. Still nothing's happening. Sulpicius has set up his line. He's ready to give an order to attack, but it took him the turn to do so. See the cav streaming away. Some of it's still here in case there's a follow-up of any value. Down here, the Greeks were unwilling to attack those Romans. All they have is cav and lighter medium infantry. And they just don't have the force to take on a legion. Even under bad leadership, the legion managed to get its the ability to move a line command. So everything shifted up real fast. All right, well, and Decimus went back and rallied those units back there. Basically, the Romans have all the time in the world. The Greeks are pretty much as sturdy as they can be, but aren't attacking. So the Romans might as well make themselves as sturdy as can be before they launch their attack. Might end up skipping through a lot of turns very shortly. I want to get this one up though.